Hi, everybody. I'm Allison. You can also see Corie on your screen, most likely. As Chris said, we are from the Delaware Department of Justice, also known as the Attorney General's Office. Our jurisdiction is statewide. Corie, if you want to go to the next slide. So our unit is the Community Engagement Unit, and it's a relatively recent iteration of what was known as the Crime Strategies Unit, which focused on property crimes and then criminal intelligence. And Corie and I have sort of turned the unit into something that it hadn't been. And most of our work is in community outreach and reentry. The goals of our unit are to bring people and resources together and honestly to turn the role of prosecutor on its head. Traditionally, this is a reactive role as a public servant, and your work is spent from the time of arrest until a person is sentenced. We are trying to create the notion of proactive prosecution. And so it's the same goal, it's to create safer communities. But we think that this goal can be achieved through alternative means to incarceration. So what we want to do is we want to prevent people from entering into the system and then returning. And the gist of it is that we're bringing people and resources together, supporting people so that they don't enter the system. And then if they have been through the system, when they're released from incarceration, we want to provide the support to them and their families to prevent them from going back into the system that prosecuted them. And so I think we'll focus first on our reentry efforts. And Corie is the reentry guru for our office.
Good afternoon, you guys. My name is Corie Priest. I am the Community Engagement Specialist for the Delaware Department of Justice. Very unique position for me. I'm formerly incarcerated. I did time. Came home in 2011, knew I wasn't going back to jail, so I worked my butt off to be around people and increase my social capital and educate myself and do the things I needed to do not to be rearrested again. And so the Attorney General hired me on once she was elected to our Attorney General's office back in 2019. And so when I got there, I wanted to bring a reentry effort to our office, and the community engagement unit was the right path for me. And so when I got there, we worked on an idea about reentry not need just to be for folks that are incarcerated, but their families and their support networks too. We seem to forget about those folks in this reentry world. So we created the What's Next series. And What's Next is a series where we target just that, families of those who are incarcerated, soon to be released, and those who are recently released. And this event here was about the expectations of coming home from incarceration with the reentrant and their families, and also bringing resources to that building, to that place. So not only are you getting information, but you can receive services and resources that are available right at your hands. So this is it has several pictures, and this is our flyer. Coming home from jail soon, let's talk about it. And then we have group violence intervention. We know in the state of Delaware, in most inner city areas, especially Wilmington and Delaware, in most areas throughout our country, that not everyone is associated with the violent crime that exists in that area. It's only a small number of folks who are entrenched in violent crime. And so we adapted this model from John Jay University and David Kennedy, the group violence intervention. My role there is a support and outreach role. Our role as an office is the law enforcement part, the accountability part, but our unit specifically does the support and outreach. We have a lot of resources in our community at our disposal. And so when folks support that, the individuals that are in GVI can cut the red tape around those services, whether it's housing, employment, benefits, education, relocation, whatever it is, it comes through the support and outreach. And I'm one of the leaders of the support and outreach team. And it's very important that our office is involved in that on the support and outreach side, because when our community thinks about the Attorney General's office, the Department of Justice, it's all on a punitive level, in a punitive aspect. And we're bringing that hope and that beacon of light to these folks that would ordinarily look at us as the ops, so to speak. Then we also have in our unit the expungements, pardon, and commutations. And Allison, you can speak on that just a little.
So our unit is comprised of me, Corie, another prosecutor, and a paralegal. So the other prosecutor and I are in charge of handling all of the state's responses to any expungement petition that's filed in our county, and Delaware consists of 3 counties. So that is our role as an office in expungements. And then as well, our paralegal does all the compiling information, data for the application process for pardons and commutations, and is in charge of organizing all of that. And then Corie, if you want to speak to the expungement fair and also your personal role in expungements.
Yeah, so the personal role is I have my expungement. So my record is completely clear now. I don't have no felonies on my background or nothing. My 5-page criminal record is now 1, and that's just to let people know. And so a lot of people from the community reach out to me around the process of pardoning expungements, and I can't turn them down. So I help them out, I advocate for them. I go down to the pardon board and parole board and advocate on their behalf and give them a perspective that no one in that office or courtroom can give. I give the humanistic approach and perspective. And so, I get a lot of calls within our community around support around pardons and expungements and commutations. And so the commutation and reentry process planning kind of starts with me. I am an expert in reentry in our state as a professional and a personal experience. And so I can compose a comprehensive reentry plan that's going to target all criminogenic needs and risks for individuals going through the commutation and reentry planning. Case resolution assistance. A lot of the prosecutors come to me and say, hey, Corie, we have a guy, I don't think he deserved this amount of time in jail. Do you have any reentry centers we can take this guy to? Or do you have any reentry or substance abuse agencies that we can put into a sentence order or we can strongly encourage? And I do. And so I give that information to the prosecutor so they can help resolve cases.
Yeah, sorry, Corie. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is that the unit is in charge of educating the public, but also in charge of educating the people that work in our own office, because most prosecutors, they know the statutory penalties to crimes like the back of their hand, but they don't know the different rehabilitative programs that are available for people returning from prison. And these are things that it's incumbent on prosecutors, we think, to know what these available options are, because the goal is you don't want this person returning. So why not work with the defense attorney to craft a more personalized reentry plan to achieve that goal? So, and this kind of goes into the reentry simulation for prosecutors. We hosted a reentry simulation for the office for the criminal division, and we put prosecutors in the role of probationers, and they had the same type of monetary obligations. They had to make it to their probation appointment on a weekly basis. They had to take care of their families. They had to find work. And it was, this is part of that education component for our office, just simply putting prosecutors in the shoes of those that they prosecute. We think that lends itself to fairer outcomes for, when prosecutors are deciding what to do with a case and crafting some sort of resolution in a plea. So, Corie, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, it kind of gives some empathy, right? I know what it's like for folks who are going through the criminal justice system. What are the hurdles and roadblocks that are associated with coming home from incarceration?
So a lot of what we do is outreach. I like to tell people that when they ask what I do, I say I'm a prosecutor. So I'm a lawyer, but I basically spend most of my time doing community service, which is a dream come true, I think. So sorry, we're going at lightning speed here, but here are a few things that we do within our communities. So we have, well, in a pre-pandemic world, we would have community resource fairs. So we had a back to school community resource fair at the end of the summer, 2019, of course. What we did is we had a school supply drive, and then we worked with other community members who do backpack drives. We stuffed hundreds of book bags with all of the school supplies that kids in the community would need upon returning for the new school year. So we brought everything to a park. We had food, we had pizza, water ice, we had local barbers donate their time and energy to giving kids back to school haircuts. We had a moon bounce, we had a DJ, and then we had a whole host of resource providers from the communities to help out the parents who are bringing their kids to these fairs to, you know, get them in the right mindset for the upcoming school year. And it was, I mean, it was a huge success. Hundreds of people came out for it. We couldn't be happier about it. And then of course the pandemic hit. We couldn't do it anymore, but we are very excited once the world returns to normal to continue doing resource fairs, hopefully 4 to 5 times a year. We also do soup kitchen volunteering every 3rd Tuesday of the month. We would go to a local soup kitchen and we would bring other prosecutors. We would bring summer law clerks with us. And it's an hour to an hour and a half of just serving people food, having conversations with the people that work at the community or the soup kitchen, having conversations with the people who are there to get their food. And there's no other goal here other than goodwill, and let's have the community know that the DOJ is not just there to put you in prison. We want to lean into the role of public servant and really serve our communities, and this takes on, you know, a very literal serving the community.
3-minute warning.
Oh boy. We in the pandemic world, we hosted a virtual job and resource fair. So we set out virtual flyers. We had a lot of resource providers in the area and employers, big companies, small companies who had job openings. And we streamed it to YouTube and Facebook through our Attorney General profile. And it was a huge success, and we'd like to continue doing those. You know, hopefully we'll turn to in-person, but for right now, virtual is just fine. We also go on community empowerment walks in our communities, and we bring health and human services with us. We bring local police agencies with us, and we hand out our brochure, which explains what we do. And we really just listen to people. We explain who we are and that we're there to listen, we're there to serve them. And it's generally well received by the community. We also, in the pandemic, we have partnered with the Food Bank of Delaware to open up food banks at local churches because obviously people's food needs have just increased drastically throughout the pandemic, and this is one way that we are trying to address that issue. And the Food Bank of Delaware, like most other food banks, is just fantastic to partner with.
Allison, we've gotten a few questions in the chat about funding for these great programs.
So the first year in 2019, I feel like we were really scrounging for money. Our budget had we didn't have much money. We had a few $1,000s, and like for the community resource fair, we begged people to donate, and we really didn't have to beg. People were happy to donate their services and time. We also begged our administration for more money. And then Corie has also, with the Criminal Justice Council, he was able to get a grant through them. So that's basically how we've been getting money. And with every passing year, we're trying to get it together to apply for more grants. We're really, bugging our administration to just give us more money. I wish I had a better answer for you.
1 minute warning.
So
Corey, is there
our
anything you wanna
last,
add?
no, so with respect to community engagement, we're working on having co-located partners in the community. One of our local barbershops, a very popular barbershop, has asked us to be a part, occupy some of their space so we can just be there once or twice a week. A local One Village Alliance deals with a lot of teens, and they gave us some office space there where we can just post up and get closer to the community than we already are. And so I like the idea of just getting out of the office and having co-located spaces throughout our our biggest city in our state, but throughout the state too, that we can just occupy some space to get closer to the community.
I just noticed the specific question about the backpack drive. So the certain community members had backpack drives on their own, and they just received them via donation. For the school supplies, we plastered the state building with flyers asking people to donate whatever they could. And we left a huge bin for people to drop things off, and it was filled. I mean, people were so excited. In our office, in the other offices that occupy the state building, everybody wanted to help out and donate what they could. And it was fantastic. So that's how we were able to get the school supply and book bags.
What was also helpful too is we attend other book bag drives, and a lot of times if they couldn't get their book bags off, then we would ask for them, or we would have them partner with us. And a couple of different agencies just gave us like 80 book bags, and and so we kind of just piggybacked off of what they were already doing, and they were just very gracious in lending us giving us the book bags that they have, or extra supplies that they had.